Hey ladies and gents, welcome back. This is going to be part 1 to What If Naruto was the reincarnation of Son Wukong. So make sure to like and subscribe. There's not going to be a like on this video, but do it anyway because I'm telling you to do it. So yeah, go do it now. I don't know what you're still doing looking at the screen. Go subscribe. Anyway, also, there is actually going to be no like on this. Did I already say that? I don't fucking know. Did I? I don't think I did. Anyway, also go check out my Discord. I'll leave a link to that in the description below, where you can just give me different what if ideas and everything like that. So, let's just get into the what if. There's going to be no recap because this is actually a part 1, obviously. So, we're going to start this what if off way back in the past, with the fight between Kaguya, the Sage of Six Paths, along with his brother. They'd be fighting, and all the different chakra would be going out into the environment, specifically the yin and yang chakra, or the chakra of life. It would all go into this one specific rock, because convenience. It would go it would go into this rock, obviously, and this rock, similar to what happened with Son Wukong. I know, obviously this should have happened in the real in the real Naruto, but it just didn't for some reason. I don't know why it didn't, but and it would be this yin and yang chakra would be going together, going into this rock. Why did I say going 10 times? I don't fucking know. It would be going into this rock, and it would basically mix together, making the chakra of life, or something that could actually create life, obviously yin and yang chakra. So with that happening, it would be cultivating over tons and like a lot of fucking years, and eventually Hashirama would begin to fight with Madara. Obviously this fight would be pretty impactful, and they would actually just happen to be fighting in the Valley of the End, where the rock just happened to be. So with them fighting in the Valley of the End, they'd be fighting, and they actually noticed something, and during their fight, all the collateral damage they're doing, the mountains they're carving away, and the massive crater that they're causing, there's a rock sitting there, floating in the middle of it, literally floating in midair, completely unscathed, undamaged. Obviously, they would not really think too much about this, and Hashirama would still end up seemingly killing Madara, who obviously would still end up being alive. So, with that happening, some more time would actually pass, and eventually, the rock would come to a point where it basically, after the long time, it finally would hatch. Just happening to be around the same birth date as Naruto, because, convenience. So, with that happening, the rock would actually crack in two, revealing a big egg. And it would slowly begin falling to the ground. Obviously, people would just happen to be at the Valley of the End at this point, and they'd be looking at this. They'd known the floating rock was there, and they'd see it as somewhat of a figment of the past, somewhat of a curse, I guess you could say. With them seeing this, they see the egg slowly falling to the ground after watching the rock crack, and they're really confused. Seconds later, before the egg even would hit the water or ground, whatever it happens to be over, it would actually crack, revealing a weird figure that would start glowing in a bright light, before transforming into a bunch of different figures, a tiger, a monkey, and eventually coming upon a humanoid with basically a tail kind of figure. It would fall to the ground, and it would be sitting there, and it would sit up, being able to walk on the water somehow. Nobody really knows how it's doing that. It would stand up, this obviously being Naruto, and it would look around, being completely conscious, being completely aware of its surroundings. It would look around, and for some reason, it would know everything that's going on. The villagers, or not the villagers, but the ninja, whoever it would actually happen to be, would begin walking up to it, seeing this as somewhat of a enemy invasion, and they'd run up to Naruto at this point, who'd look over at them, and would simply look at them, giving them a confused look, with not really knowing exactly what's going on, why he was born, why any of this was actually happening. The ninja would actually stop. They'd be about halfway across the water towards Naruto at this point, and they would actually stop looking at him. Like, he actually looks confused. He doesn't look like he's trying to fake anything. They'd end up walking over to Naruto, holding up their hands as a basically show of peace, show of not really wanting to hurt him. With that happening, Naruto would obviously allow them to approach him before they try talking to him, of which Naruto would instantly pick up their language, begin replying back. Them being really surprised by this. He shouldn't be able to speak that quickly. Like, what the heck? What the fuck? Because, convenience. So with that happening, they'd end up bringing Naruto back to the village, and eventually he would come into contact with the third Hokage, this being Hiruzen. Because, you know, this happened shortly after the Nine-Tails attack and everything like that. Hiruzen would see this as somewhat of an omen, somewhat of a really good thing that could be happening. Maybe this kid could be, or this monkey, this weird being, could actually be their savior in some way. He doesn't know exactly what's happening yet. He's kind of confused, obviously, along with everybody else, including Naruto at this point, would be very confused, and Hiruzen would give Naruto a name. I don't know why I've been calling him Naruto this entire time. He'd simply call him Sun Wukong. Why would he call him this, you may ask? Well, because of his tail. He looks kind of like a monkey. He's like a humanoid monkey kind of hybrid at this point. And Hiruzen would be like, okay, yeah, that's a good name for you. He'd give Naruto, or he'd give Sun Wukong this name. I don't know why I've been calling him Naruto this entire time. So, with Sun Wukong being his actual name at this point, what exactly would he do? Well, obviously, he'd still want to become immortal. He still wants to do all those different things once he actually does figure out his mortality. And he would obviously want to do this, but he doesn't actually really have a way to become immortal that we know of, at least not yet. You may ask, but what about the frickin' Orochimaru? He wants to become immortal. He probably will figure out a way to do it eventually. Well, I actually have been thinking. I've been thinking about this for a while because I didn't really have the chance to record yesterday, and I was thinking I could just but make it similar to the actual Chinese mythology that it used to be. Have like the Jade Emperor and heaven and hell all be a thing. And I think I'm actually going to do that. So, because, you know, I mean, he's the reincarnation of Sun Wukong. Why not make everybody else the thing and the thing and the thing? So, with that happening, obviously, Naruto would pretty easily settle into, you know, normal village life. He'd obviously be a prankster because Sun Wukong would be, you know, very mischievous, very, very much of a prankster, like joking around a lot of different things like that, till eventually, a few years later, he'd obviously figure out his mortality. This is what I was saying earlier about wanting to become immortal. He would go over to the third Hokage, and he'd basically tell him, I'm going on an adventure, I am going to become immortal. Obviously, Hiruzen basically has some flashbacks back to Orochimaru at this point. He's like, I can't really let you do that, Sun Wukong. Naruto looks at him, or Sun Wukong looks at him, he's like, and how are you gonna stop me, exactly? With Hiruzen looking at Sun Wukong, he's like, well, I'm not gonna stop you, but I really just don't think you should go. And Wukong turns around, basically walking away. He's not going to listen to it because he has his own ambitions now. He wants to do it. So going on a journey to try to become immortal. Obviously, introducing things like the Jade Emperor and everything like that means that there would actually be immortals in the actual world itself. Eventually, he would come upon a cave, and he would walk inside of it, obviously finding an immortal. You know, why the fuck not? He'd walk in, and he'd be, you know, chilling out, and he'd begin training with this immortal. And obviously, a lot of time would pass, and he would eventually become immortal. He'd get that first stage of immortality. With him getting that, the other immortal, I guess you could say, it's hard to talk about this. I don't know, it's weird. It's just a little odd. Would tell Naruto, or tell Sun Wukong, the gods might be coming after you now, because they don't really approve of this way of becoming immortal. They don't approve of this, so they're most likely going to be coming after you in a different thing called the 5 Calamities. And he doesn't explain what this is, but Naruto or Sun Wukong would be looking at it. He'd be like, oh, well, they're not going to be able to do shit to me, so I'm immortal. They can't really do anything, can they? And obviously, Sun Wukong at this point would be much more powerful than he was before, knowing all kinds of magic and basically knowing all kinds of different things and having a much better control, or having control over his shape-shifting now. With him actually having that, he would be a lot more powerful than, you know, the normal Naruto, who would actually return back to the village itself with the news that he's actually become immortal. And obviously this means somebody like Orochimaru would probably have become immortal too because of the fact of his ambition. He probably would have been able to find him and become immortal in that way as well. So with Sun Wukong and most likely Orochimaru at this point becoming immortal, Naruto or Sun Wukong would return to the village. I just figured I should get the whole Orochimaru, you know, being immortal out of the way now because people might you know, comment and be like, well, if Naruto can do it, can't Orochimaru do it too? Since you were like some random shit like that. Naruto would know many spells at this point and different things like that. Like, he has 72 transformations, obviously, that being his thing. He can, like, freeze other people's bodies. He can, no, he can't form the thingy yet. Never mind. I'm wrong. Because that was gained through other means. I did a lot of research on this, and, like, you know, there's a lot of information about Sun Wukong that, like, there's an absolute shitload. Like, how is he able to survive in fire? How is he able to breathe underwater? Well, he got this charm, but he can't actually, like, fight when he's using the charm to be able to breathe underwater and be able to. I was like, oh, cool. Oh, cool. I don't know. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, Naruto or Sun Wukong returning back to the actual village itself. Obviously, being immortal at this point, because, you know, he just is like that. And at this point, in terms of actual age, not in terms of mentality and everything like that, he'd only be like 6 or 7 years old. He wouldn't be old at all, but he's still in, like, the perfect. He's basically been mature since he was born. So eventually, he would go out on another journey, wanting to, you know, cause some mischief. But that's where I'm going to leave this part off. Sorry for the short part, but I want to give you guys the opportunity to leave comments and suggestions for the future, you know, parts of this what if. So I'll see you guys in the next part. Peace out. Bye.